Okay, once you have your template figured out, remember your template should be filling the space of your paper. Try and have it touch the edges or fill the space. There shouldn't be much of a gap on either side of your design because you need to have plenty of space to do your mixing for your paint palette. So then your next step will be to roll out your slab. You're going to take your piece of clay. Because this is coming directly from the bag, you don't need to wedge it. There are no existing air bubbles in it. And then we're going to take and we're going to set our slats on either side. Our goal is to have the rolling pin rolling on these slats because then it makes it a nice even height for our slab. So I'm going to set that right there. People ask me, what width do I need? Well, look at the size of your design. Make sure your slats are on either side of that, and that will ensure that you have enough width on your slab. Now as you start to roll, you're going to put a little bit of pressure down, and then you're going to continue to push the clay outward. Now if you have a wider design, once you know you have your length, so I'm getting there, you can trim off the extra and you can actually flip the direction that you're rolling. So for example, we can see when I continue to roll, we can see the clay moving. That means it's not quite even enough. But now when I'm rolling, it looks like it's flat enough. So I can even trim off some of this extra here and I can flip it. Now, if for some reason it's not quite wide enough, you could even take a little bit of the extra. And so for example, let's see, I can take this extra off here and I could even overlap it a little bit here and then continue to roll. Now looking at this, it's a little bit too wide here, so I can cut a little more off there. So then I could take and roll these if I needed to, if I ran out of clay. But you want to also make sure that it's nice and blended on both sides. So if you end up having to do that, you would blend it and then flip it over and blend the back side. But I don't need that clay, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to take this now and use my needle tool. Needle tool is the best tool for cutting this out, especially if you have a more detailed design. And you just cut around the shape of your clay. It's always better to have a little bit more clay than not too much clay for thickness. So you don't want to go too thin, especially where we're going to be carving out the wells in our paint palette. We need to have some clay that we can carve. So we're going to go with the thicker slats to start, and then if we have too much clay, we can always trim it down a little bit. So for today, use your wooden slats as a starting point. So that's all I have to do. Now if you're having trouble removing the clay without bumping your clay, sometimes I remove mine in sections. So I will take and peel this out from around it like so. I got this big piece here. And then I can take and just trim up right around there. All right, so there is my slab. It should be about the size of your pinky finger. Ours is going to be a little bit thicker because we're going to be trimming it down. This might be a little too thick. If that's the case, we can take and just use a little bit of pressure, not much, and flatten it a little bit more. So there, it's about the height of my pinky. But we don't know if we have to do that yet or not. And then if you need to, if it distorts your shape too much, you're welcome to trim it down. I don't think this distorted mine, so I'm just going to leave it as is. Your next step, you're going to take and set this on your piece of cardboard. And then you're going to open up your plastic bag. You're going to slide it in so that it's laying flat. And then I'm going to take and tuck this half behind. And I'm going to take and tuck this half underneath, and then this goes in your art locker. So good luck with making your slab today.